Hi, I'm Kent Lewis, and I am an adjunct professor at Portland State in the CEPE program. I teach an 18-hour SEM workshop, and I'm going to give you a few minutes of my thoughts on career tips for successful digital marketing career. Anyway, I've written a few articles that you might find interesting and useful on this subject, and you can find them at anvilmediainc.com. That's our website. In the About Resources section, you'll find a whole slew of information in the business articles, and you can follow me on LinkedIn and on Twitter at Kent J. Lewis. So let me give you a couple tips, starting out with the key to understanding your career and is your ability to leverage your strengths. So there's something called unique abilities, which is through Strategic Coach. There is the Freak Factor, which is a methodology developed by Dr. Dave Rendell out of the East Coast. And there is Strengths Finder, which is a book and a quiz you can take online. But the whole point of understanding your strengths and your true talents is that you need to embrace those, build them into your cover letters and your resumes and into your interview process, and ideally into your day-to-day activities in your job. For example, I head up sales and marketing for Anvil, and I leverage my strengths of being personable, able to talk my people's ear off, and having a lot of enthusiasm. That works really well for sales and marketing. It may be okay for account service, but it's not so well in the discipline of actually doing, say, day-to-day account work. So I've built people around me at Anvil to play off of my strengths and mitigate my weaknesses, and I think that's your big opportunity. So smart companies hire for your talent or your unique ability, so market those up front, and you'll find a natural connection. And I've already given you some of those examples. One more resource that I'd recommend is Simon Sinek's The Why. So why do you get up? Why do you go to work? I think that's a really important thing for you to keep in mind. Next up would be 6 tips to help you build your career and secure employment faster than the person next to you that doesn't listen to this video. So, number 1, start networking and never stop. First place you can go besides Portland State and the CEPE program would be PDX Mindshare, with monthly learning events and a LinkedIn group of nearly 10,000 members, weekly emails and updates at pdxmindshare.com. Don't set any limits to your career or your job aspirations, just set goals. Early in my career, almost 17, 18 years ago, I set goals that were economic-based, certain material things like a house or a car, but mostly they're career-based, and every single goal I wrote down I achieved, whether it was a 6-month or a 12-month or a 5-year or 10-year goal. So do the same, and you'll find you can only hit goals once you set them. Find your why. So I already mentioned that, Simon Sinek and other resources. I've always recommended to people I've worked with, employees and otherwise, to create a personal mission statement. For instance, I'm all about connecting and educating and entertaining. Those are kind of my 3 daily missions that I fold many of my day-to-day activities under. If you do the same, it helps you self-select which companies, which roles, and what activities in your job you should be focusing on. Next up would be number 4, build your online brand. So you build your online persona, your social profiles, all of that are really important. Having a clean reputation online, also thinking about what you're saying and how that may affect your opportunities of employment and job retention and job promotions. Keep those in mind. I have some articles on building your online persona on our website. Number 5, technology evolves, but don't get distracted or enamored by it. I think the key is that critical thinking does not evolve. I mean, it evolves, but nothing like technology. Don't get distracted by the technology. Focus on what matters. Building your online brand, the last one, 6, don't fear failure. Fail fast, fail forward. The only true fear is fear of fear itself, not fear of failure. I've learned more from my failures than I ever will from my successes. In fact, I think I've learned the wrong things from success. But the more affordable way to do that is learn from the failures of others. It'll get you a lot farther. So that's 6 tips to help you secure your dream job. In terms of getting that first job and making that first impression, I have 5 tips there. First is be prepared. This is good for interviews and for your first day, week, or month at work. Do your homework. Know the people in the room. Know the company. Understand the opportunity and fit. So as a interviewee, know who you're interviewing with. Know the executives, how the company was founded, how it's evolved. Know what the role is. Look up historically what other people, career skill sets have been needed in current or past employees of that employer. Number 2, be curious. Have the curiosity of a 5-year-old. Never stop asking questions, smart questions. If you do your homework enough, you won't have stupid questions. Curiosity is a very good thing. Smart employers appreciate that. Number 3, be proactive. It's really important to come to your potential employer, your boss with questions. Be upfront. Being proactive means that you are not afraid to take on more responsibility, and that's what a good employer is looking for. Number 4, be timely and accurate. So when you're asked to produce something on a deadline, make sure you do that and that it's good the first time. Spell check, review it, read it once or twice or 3 times, depending on your writing skills. Have somebody else review it. Look at it as your own boss. Would I like this? Is this what was expected of me? I think it's all very important. And be visible. I've had some great talent that I've worked with that were just not seen or understood or appreciated by management, and that was partially to their fault for not making the effort to be more visible. I think that's really important. And if you're going to make that positive impact, make sure it's a lasting impression. And then that's how you carry your career forward, even if you change roles. And then last but not least, understand the difference between agency and in-house. I'm an agency guy. I've worked in-house collectively less than 6 months, as a contractor in one role at 3 months, 3 months in another, corporate.com. And in that time, I learned that agency is for me. It's not for everybody. But 9 agencies later, I have a pretty good idea of what the differentiators are from my limited experience in-house, client side. So number 1 is attention to detail. Every job you'd expect a certain level of attention to detail for you to be successful. But what's interesting is a lack of attention to detail on the client side may get you chastised, a slap on the wrist if even noticed, and hopefully it would be noticed. In an agency, it simply can get you fired. If you lose a client because of some mistakes, which I have, then you may lose your job too, because without the client revenue to keep your salary supported, it can be a short-lived career. Number 2, agencies require both the creative thinking and the analytical thinking, particularly in digital. What gets measured gets managed. Digital gets measured, therefore it gets managed. That means you need to be looking at the numbers and not being afraid of them. Math isn't my strong suit, so I visualize the data. I'm still measuring it. Also, that creative thinking, being able to understand and put strategies together in a creative way is really expected of agencies. That's their value add, whereas an in-house that may not be is required or even expected. Number 3 is multitasking. We know scientifically multitasking is generally a very bad thing. It's not efficient, but unfortunately it's a necessary evil of every agency I've worked at and many others I've heard about. Is, for better or for worse, it's the idea of being able to balance multiple tasks, clients, activities, and do it without losing your mind. And there are a lot of tools and techniques for that. I'm just saying that if you love a lot of dynamic change, a lot of different things going on, agency might be for you. If you like to dive deep and do one thing at a time, agency may not be unless it's an agency with only 1 or 2 clients, and that can be scary too with so many eggs in one basket. Number 4, agencies require exceptional communication skills, both written and verbal. If you're not a good communicator, be careful. You may be in trouble. If you're client-facing, you have to have excellent verbal and written skills. You have to be timely and responsive. That just goes with the flow in corporate. That may not be as important. Perhaps frustratingly, agencies typically weigh relevant work experience over education. So that's no ding on PSU or any other university, but most agencies value the actual hands-on work much more. Now, I told you up front, you need to know your talents and your strengths and your skills. Your talents and your strengths, your skills and knowledge and experience can be taught. That's what I've done in my world at Anvil. Almost everybody came in here with no experience. We built them up, and that is a unique opportunity within digital. But the key is Yeah, if you have an MBA, you might want to downplay it, soft pedal it a bit, because a lot of agency owners do not have MBAs, and they are typically have a bigger ego than the idea of hiring smarter people like I do than myself. Last but not least, agency roles tend to be broader, so across discipline, across clients. So I mentioned this earlier, but if diversity is your thing and freshness and change and challenge, sometimes a lack of structure is part of that, you're going to do very well in agency. Otherwise, you might struggle heavily. I look forward to having you in my class if I haven't already, and I'm happy to answer any questions through LinkedIn, through PDX Mindshare, or through AnvilMediaInc.com. I look forward to seeing you around PSU's CEPE program. Thanks a lot.